Last week, the quote-unquote parliament in Iran voted to execute 15,000 protesters, many of them teenagers and women. And one of those members of parliament is actually in the United States right now at the UN, presumptively under diplomatic cover. Do we need more resources, or should we reconsider who we allow to come to the United States, after you've voted for such an atrocity? It just really concerns me that people could be enjoying themselves in New York after signing, a death warrant for 15,000 innocent Iranians who just want freedom.
Gentleman's time has expired. Director, you can answer the question.
Well, what I would say is that the Iranian regime across multiple vectors has become more aggressive, more brazen, and more dangerous. And I would just point to everything just in maybe the last 18 months, a cyber attack on a children's hospital, an attempt to assassinate the former U.S. National Security Advisor in the United States, and an attempt to kidnap a journalist from right smack in the middle of New York City. So if that's not enough to convince us that the regime is a threat, I don't know what is.
Hallelujah, finally somebody, well, more than somebody, but there's a talk. But I would say the first gentleman was correct. Sorry, as I don't know his name. I don't think they're gonna stop this, Michael. Do you think they're gonna stop this?
No, not at all. And the rep's name is Eric Swalwell. You may remember him from, he's the one with Fang Fang, the spy, the Chinese spy that he was having an affair with, we'll say. But what's really disgusting too is the other person, the spokesperson for the Biden regime. He's admitting here they're amping up attacks. They're getting more aggressive. They're doing cyber attacks and other things. There's things in the planning stages and in the works right now, but we're still trying to negotiate a deal with them while they're killing their own people on top of that.
I know, and I do apologize. I'm going to keep doing this because I have no idea, but somebody has decided to do yard work in like 30 degrees cold outside, so I'm going to try to minimize the background noise. Welcome to Let's Be Frank. Thank you so much for joining us today on this cold Sunday, November 20th. Ironically, talking about Iran and even Democrats finally joining the narrative. Today is World Children's Day, so let's take a moment to remember the 61 children in last 62 days killed by the hands of the same regime they were just discussing. 60 innocent children for simply wanting freedom. Situation is very tough when even a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, 11, all the way to 17-year-old are on the streets marching, some of them removing their hijab, some of them burning the pictures of ayatollahs in their school books. But I just figured we should remember, as the numbers are literally skyrocketing, happy World Children's Day to those parents who loved their kids in the last 2 months simply because they wanted freedom.
Well, it's really disgusting too with a lot of these kids that were killed. They weren't involved in protests in any way. Some of them were walking home from school or just out in the street or caught in crossfire. And it's really disgusting. But unfortunately, you're right. Eric Swalwell is right. I'm glad that he actually spoke up. Where is everybody on our side? There's very few that are voicing their concerns or making any kind of concerted effort to stop the Biden regime from supporting this Islamic dictators in Iran. There's no effort to investigate them trying to push through this deal. And hopefully something will change now that we've retaken control of Congress, but I get the impression this isn't exactly high on their priority list, and I don't understand why.
Well, you're correct. As by the way, just let me plug this real quick. If you weren't on Friday, and if you missed my show on Friday here on Lendl TV, I had the honor and privilege to have a 30-minute interview with Congressman Jim Jordan, and he did mention that now we've won the House, they do have plans on doing further and further investigation, and he was very clear, which I understand, that Congress' job is to investigate. They can't file charges, so he is hoping, and we are hoping, that the more investigation they do, and the more of evidence and facts and truth comes out, there will be someone who will actually take the initiative to file, charges and start cleaning house. Am I hopeful? Maybe. Am I holding my breath for that? No, because I don't want to die yet.
Yeah, and I think he made a very good point there too, that their job is to basically present a case, and the Justice Department has to determine how that's handled. Um, I'm hoping the Justice Department will be honest, and once this information is made public, where everybody can see it, and there's some pressure on them, that they will begin to do something. And if that's what it takes, even if there's no charges against anybody in the Biden regime, it at least puts the brakes on this and forces them to stop trying to send them billions of dollars, do other things that are directly harming the people of Iran.
Correct, but back to what you said a few minutes ago or a minute ago. Why is this not on their priority list? I'm gonna bring us back home. Yes, for me and you, Michael, and most likely for most of our audience, not all, and I will tell you why not all. For most of our audience, it is heartbreaking. We probably shed tears over it. Honestly, I skip a meal here and there because I just don't even feel like eating. But for the Biden regime, for a lot of, call them whatever we want to call them, uniparty, rhinos, sellouts, whatever. A lot of them, they don't care. And it's not just, I'm saying they don't care because they're Iranian children. No, I'll say because they're children. Part of the investigation the GOP is opening into Biden family crimes is human trafficking. And we both know, Michael, a huge part of human trafficking is underage. For labor,
Yes.
for sexist slavery, you name it, but it's mainly children. Also, now something you brought to my attention is, well, I mean, for many years now, they have taken God out of our schools. They've been brainwashing our kids. They are training a bunch of Marxists at our schools. But apparently now, I'm not going to get in detail because you told me about it. But apparently now they're doing what? This Satan classes after school? What is that?
Yeah, it's a Satan after school program. It was and this isn't the first one either. This story is a new one. I covered this a few months ago, and one of these popped up in Pennsylvania. And according to my list, what I could find, this is at least the seventh school now to put on one of these programs, and they are sponsored by the Church of Satan. And it's definitely made to appeal to a certain kind of person. You're sort of trust the science kind of adults, and they put it up as an alternative to maybe a church-sponsored after-school program. And that's, I guess, what originally started this was in Pennsylvania. There was a church-sponsored after-school program, a place for kids to wait before their parent, till their parents got home from work, or to wait for the bus or other things. So they put this up originally as like a counter.
Sorry, let me interrupt you for a second as I'm scrolling down this Gateway Pundit article you sent me. This is so... Oh, wow. Look at this sentence. The after-school Satan Club will begin monthly meetings in December. Paul Hicks, the leader of the Satan Club, said the schools need clubs like his, to counter the Christian-based clubs. Like, it is an open war.
Yeah.
They're not even hiding it. It's like literally they're there to counter. Now, this is where I'm going to jump in and say, for 1 second, I'm going to just completely put aside the fact that this is about children. And I'm going to say this. Why is it that freedom of religion applies to the cult of Islam, but Christians need countering?
Oh, yeah, exactly. They would promote it. If there was an Islam club at one of these, the Satan Club would probably promote it along with their own. They try to present this as they want kids to develop a skeptical mindset, to question things, and to trust science, a science-based approach to life. So this is made to appeal to a certain type of adult, to have them push their kid into it. I mean, I think you're probably not going to recruit a whole lot of kids on their own to the Satan program. Especially, again, this isn't targeted at like high school students, at least not most of them. Most of them are targeted at kids like second through maybe sixth grade, like before they're even in seventh or eighth grade. It's really disgusting. It's a way to get their hooks on these kids early, and give them this false sense of empowerment that they're smarter than everyone else. They're smarter than the church. They don't believe on the magical bearded sky fairy.
Wait, okay, let me just go really dumb on you for a minute. Number one, so they're gonna teach Satan worshipping to our kids to say they are smarter because they don't believe in uh how are they gonna actually, like, what's their proof of proving Satan?
Well,
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. It's like
yeah,
I'm playing the whole, in my head I'm trying to say, okay, like any of them, any of them, when it comes to
well, the way
faith, when it comes to cults, whatever it is, like Muhammad, Moses, like what is there that they can prove Satan by what? Like, you God.
well, the way they sort of play it is like this. Like they say, like they don't really worship Satan. This is more of it's worship of self, is what a lot of Satanism really is. It's hedonism. It's doing whatever you think feels good, or is benefits you, and forget everybody else. Even though in reality that is worship of Satan, but it isn't framed that way. They basically use it like they use Anton LaVey's book, The Satanic Bible, as sort of a framework for what they're doing now. But the idea is it's sort of like think of it as like advanced atheism, that they use Satan as sort of a symbol, but it's really hedonism. It's about doing whatever you think's good, whatever feels good to you, justifying your actions by the science or consent. It's like it's like an anti-religion. It's just to pull people away from God.
Okay, now let's go back to, they are smarter than us because they don't worship. What did you say? The fairy what?
The I was trying to think of the term they use. I saw this in another article, but basically the magical sky. Yeah, what was the term they used? It was so I mean, it was
Okay, let's say just magical sky fairy. We're just gonna use that
yeah,
term. So they want to prove that they're smarter than us because they don't worship a
yeah, a
magical sky
mythical
fairy,
being.
mythical
Yeah,
being. But then at the same time, apparently, our mythical sky being or magical being is threatening enough that they need to counter him.
yeah. Well, they go by this belief you'll hear a lot that all Christians are brainwashed. They're brainwashed to believe something that they can't see, and they can't physically, you can't physically reach out and touch God. Um, so that's sort of their counter argument is there is no science. They say there is no scientific proof of God, even though there are plenty of scientists that would argue otherwise. Um, but that's sort of the basis of there. And again, it's sort of slipping that idea in to make these people feel falsely superior to those that they are saying, "Oh, hi, you're too dumb. You worship this mythical being," whereas I base all my beliefs on science and on hedonism, what feels good to me to do, what's good for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I mean, good for them. I personally, I don't have any competition on who's smarter, who's dumber, because actions prove that on its own. But my point is, okay,
Yes.
let's go with. And by the way, to our audience, please don't get annoyed. I am literally playing devil's advocate here. Let's go with the
Yeah.
argument of they're smarter because they follow the science. If they follow the science, then there are only two genders.
Yeah, well, try telling one of them that, and you'll probably you'll see a little literal demon appear before you.
I know, but their argument, and that's why I like actually going up against them, because they try to do what works with them, which is push buttons and kind of sort of disrespect or degrade someone to get a reaction. And the good thing about me is that doesn't normally work because, again, you grow up for like almost 15, more than 15 years of your life being half a human. Nothing is really degrading anymore. Like, I take being dumb
Yeah.
over being half a human any day of my life. So, I love going
Yeah,
up against them. Go ahead.
yeah. As terrible as that is, I guess you're right. I'd rather be a little stupid than half a person. But it's and that is you have that exactly right on how it should be handled. That you turn it back onto them, that you degrade their religion, you pick it apart piece by piece, because at the end of the day it is a religion, just like atheism is a religion. There's a lot of atheist evangelists out there, if I could talk, that out there and try to convince everyone else to be an atheist. And this is kind of the same thing, but I think that the deeper thing is sort of this grand overarching evil that we see in our world right now that's permeating. I think even like 10 years ago, if someone had tried to bring in a Satan after school program, and it would have been shot down immediately. Like no parents would go for it. It would be immediately taken as the bad thing that it is, that it was corrupting children. And there's another step to that, because again, like we look at a lot of these child drag events. A lot of those are sponsored by different satanic churches. And they've done that in some states because there is that religious protection. They'll bring it in there instead of in a bar or wherever else where the authorities can get involved. So instead, they'll use a satanic church or use that as a guise to protect it from law enforcement.
True, and that's why I brought this topic up first, because that's the thing. At the end of the day, when we talk about why is the Biden regime or any of the people in the government, except maybe we can count them in one hand, don't care about children being killed in Iran, or even UNICEF or UN or Europe, any of them. I mean, that's what it is right now. Children are targeted, and let me break this down so there's no misunderstanding. Killing a child isn't about just putting a bullet in them like the regime is doing in Iran. Yes, they're killing that child and taking their breath away physically. But when you have children in any country who are being raised with, as you said, the drag story time and Satan Club, and the transgenders and misgenders and so much, that is killing a child as well, because you're taking away the freshness. I call the freshness of a child's soul. Some countries like Iran, they kill the soul of a child by raping him, enslaving him. In America, the free country, we're killing the soul of our children. That's why we have so many angry kids. We really, like, if you look, Michael, to the reports every day, every small town, big city, there are kids that, they're angry kids, from, I'm against bullying myself, but for last 5 years, I don't feel like bullying is the reason of the mass shootings in the schools. I feel like it's the angry kids that are being raised and confused. This is confusing. Like, seriously. At age 5, you want your kid to start thinking if they're gay or straight. Are you kidding me? Let them be. Let them be kids.
Yeah, it is. It's about corrupting them and confusing them, both confusing their moral values and confusing their priorities. And again, like, especially with this transgenderism, I think that takes a hold on kids. And if you get them to commit to it young, where this is their ideology and that's what they identify as, then you trying to tell them that that's not true, or you can't be born a boy and become a girl. Like, they take that as you're attacking who they are and what they identify as. So when you program them early, it's hard to pull them out of that because they've made a commitment. Nobody likes admitting they're wrong. When it's your entire life is based around that idea, it's even harder to pull somebody out of it. It's a cult.
It is a cult. And the question remains to be answered. We shall not wait for any government or UN or UNICEF or any organization under claim of children protection to do anything about this. However, the question that remains to be answered is, when will parents genuinely and tangibly take action and reverse the damages before it's beyond repair?
Yeah, because this after-school Satan Club is a symptom of a much larger problem. It is the corruption of childhood innocence, or how did you just put it a moment ago? The freshness of a child. But it's that corruption. Our enemies play the long game. It should be very evident to everyone now. And they know that by corrupting even a percentage of these kids now, that 10 years, 20 years from now, when they're all out there voting, that they're going to stay behind this same evil as its agenda continues to advance. It's basically taking potential soldiers away from us and putting them on their side early, corrupt them early, get them committed, and then make them part of this cult.
Very true. And that's the thing. When they're so obviously and openly putting it into verbiage of schools need a club like ours, the Satan Club, to counter Christian clubs. There are two very, very important messages to be taken from this one sentence by itself. Number one, when someone like Brown House, for example, been saying for years that, Christianity is under attack, there you have it. Openly and publicly, they are announcing this is war. Countering a group of people. It's basically when we are under attack. The second message I personally, Michael, would take out of this is the fact of when I say our freedoms are starting to be selective in this country, there you have it. If this Satan Satan club leader would say, you need people like us to counter Islamic clubs.
Yeah, a
If they
counter
would have
jihad
said,
club.
or they would have even said the Jewish club, I mean, everybody would be screaming anti-Semitism on top of their roofs. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm actually saying this because we are not screaming on top of our roofs. What is wrong with us? How long, how much further Christians are going to go being nice? This is literally, it puzzles me that we are still going to be nice. We're still going to just pray over it. Again, I'm not saying don't pray. Please don't twist my words. Pray and pray and pray. But are you going to actually show up? Are you going to check your school, your kids' school, to make sure they don't have Satan Club? Or are you going to actually genuinely file lawsuit against that school that is in your area under discrimination? This sentence is absolutely discrimination. It is targeting a group of people. That's what discrimination is called for. This could actually, if you have a good lawyer, they can fetch this far as a hate crime. Because the purpose of creation of this club is to counter an other targeted group of people. That's called hate crime.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point there, because you can bet if it was reversed, they would be doing that. They would be trying to target them for either discrimination or for a hate crime or something. And because they are focused on countering a specific group of people, and they're open about that. You know, this Hicks guy that's running this one out at in California, he's a teacher. So, these parents better be going to that next school board meeting and demanding this guy's job or some type of investigation or something, because this is not something. You don't want this guy that has access to children every day, that has these kind of beliefs, out there teaching them in the classroom too, because what's he saying there?
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure this one is just like, there are plenty of them who picked him to be their vocal or voice out there. Yeah. There is no way there's just this one guy, out there doing it all by himself. So you don't put a club. I'm not going to even call it a satanic church, because I feel like that is a very wrong phrase to use. This club, yeah, you don't put that together all by yourself. But since we got three more, but possibly squeezing two more topic in today. So let's conclude on this one. Bottom line, as I said, I will repeat, today is World Children's Day. And it seems like every year this day gets celebrated less and less, because children are becoming less and less a priority of human society to be protected, to be raised properly, and to be raised by values, whatever those values might be. So I hope, at least today, parents do a quick deep dive, do a soul search, and see where they have lacked accountability and responsibility, and get involved, do something. This cannot go on for longer than it has. It shouldn't have, but okay, fine, it has gone this far. So please do something, whatever you think is fit for your child and other people's children. They don't have to be your kids to protect them. Children need our protection, either ours or neighbors or sisters or anybody. They're children. They need our protection.
Yeah, the left likes to say it takes a community to raise a child. This is a good example of that, where it takes the whole community. I want to make one suggestion before we move on. If your kids are in any kind of public or even private school, instead of being overt and asking them if they have a Satan club, maybe call and just ask for a list of what after-school programs the school offers, because you might spot something else on there that's just as bad. That's how some of these transgender and child sexuality clubs have been discovered, just by parents seeing it on a list somewhere that it's something they offer, and then they ask questions.
Agreed. And that's the thing. It is a lot of work for one person, but as you said, community, split, do a meeting with your neighbors. Now, split the responsibility. Everybody has 5 minutes a day to spare to do research, look into the agenda of the school, I can never pronounce that, curriculum of a school.
Yeah, curriculum. I can't pronounce it either, so.
But just work with your neighbors, your community, and that one got me, Michael. When you sent me the article, I'm like, whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting, and I'm honestly, unfortunately unsurprised to see it pop back up again. The last time it was a story over summer where they were going to do a summer camp, one of these satanic summer camp at some school. So
Exactly, that's the thing. If the first one would get shut down or failed to deliver, this one wouldn't be popping up. Therefore, as you said, when we see the second plan of apparently monthly club meetings on starting December, isn't that the timing interesting? As we get close to the Christmas season, the countering of Christians need to happen. They think they're clever. Well, honestly, they might be for majority of people. But yeah, it's the first one should have been a stop. But let's see if we can stop the second one. Since we're getting close to our sponsor break time, Michael, let's just take a minute. Instead of starting the next topic, so we don't have to cut halfway through it to take the break. I want to address something real quick. This is a little outside of the topic, any of the topics, but I just want to mention something because it's been somewhat on my mind, and also I've been receiving emails with questions in them, with complaints, some support, generally lots of emails. So let's quickly talk about the comment section here on frankispeech.com. There was a bit of a situation that we faced on a Friday. No, I do apologize, on Thursday. This was a Thursday night thing. And admins ended up blocking a few users. And when I say few, it wasn't a mass block, because that started to be the idea to some users. No, it was a few users who had to be blocked. Now, I want to explain this. I did it on the comment section on Friday, but I want to say this on air. Hopefully everybody will hear. Yes, frank speech is about freedom of speech, very much. But I need you to understand there are lines not to be crossed. We actually invite disagreements, civilized debates, because we want to hear everybody's side. And this is something Brandon has said, Mike has said, I have said, Michael agrees with. But there are times when, if the disagreement is approached under category of a smear campaign, accusation campaign, and disrespect, then we will not tolerate that. Frank Speech is a very family-oriented network. This network is a Christian network. We actually have forbidden terms to be used on the comments section for that reason. We are keeping this platform to the best of our ability, family-oriented and Christian-based. So the moment someone loses their cool and they cannot control their thought process running through their fingers, we will ban them. This is not about banning free speech. This is about banning someone who has not matured to a level of controlling their thoughts when they come to words. I hope that makes it more clear on what did happen and why the decision was made. On that note, I do look at comments. It is part of my job to check the comments, but I do not make decisions on who be banned, who will not be banned. So I appreciate those who emailed me about it. I receive the name and I go in and ban or put them on timeout or give them a warning, whatever the case might be. I don't make decisions. I'm flattered that you think I am in such a high position at Lindell TV that I have that power, but I don't. I receive the names, I place them. And one more note before I wrap up on my end, before you take over, Michael, is there is a reason. Policies are a set of boundaries. If you want to push boundaries in policies, again, that doesn't apply to free speech. If, for example, right here on Frank's Speech, as I said, we have forbidden names. Some people have been clever enough to spell them in a different way to still put those words on the comment. You are not being clever. You're pushing boundaries, and after a few warnings, you will be removed because you can't respect the regulations of this community. Number two, there is a reason that you get a spam mark by the comment section when you try to put on a link on the comments. You need to realize and understand, Mike Lindell has spent so much time, effort, and his own money. So did Brandon House. and the rest of us who put our time into bringing you these programmings, and you support us through our promotion code. You need to realize this platform was built by hard work, plenty of budget from especially Mike Lindell and Brandon House. So if you try to use this platform to self-promote, build your own audience and your followers for your external platforms while not being an influencer on Frank Speech, that is also a disrespect. And we call that taking advantage of someone else's hard work. So I hope this is answering some questions that you have had. It was impossible for me to reply to every email I received, but some of you were worried if you will be banned. No, we know those of you who are dedicated. We know those of you who are supporters. And there's no reason for us to ban you. As I said, if you're not pushing boundaries, if you're not finding clever ways to still use foul language in the comments, if you're not self-promoting using everybody else's hard work to take your own audience out of this platform, and also if you're not smearing any of the people on camera, there is no reason to be banned. Michael, yours.
Well, I think the key takeaway that I just heard from everything that you just said is this is all about respect. It's respect for the people on the platform, for the people that put it together, that put their money up on there, and respect for the other commenters. If you're attacking people personally, or you can't play by the rules, or you're just being negative or name calling, or you just can't help yourself from dropping F-bombs and using other terms that shouldn't be used in the comment section here on a Christian platform, you can't respect the platform, then it isn't a place for you to be. That's really the end of the line. If you can't control yourself enough to do that, then I'm sorry, you're not somebody that we want to be part of this movement either.
Amen. Perfect. Let's go ahead and take that break. Hear from Mike Lindell and my store, my favorite item, Extractivity. And then we will come back and pick up the next topic we have for you. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Extractivity is an all-natural energy and health drink developed by Brandon House several years ago with a team of experts. Extractivity supports a healthy heart, strong immunity, skin, hair and nails, cognitive health, and cellular health. This all-natural energy drink is loaded with antioxidants. But don't take our word for it. Do your own research to find the benefits of red wine extract, bilberry extract, grapeseed extract, pine bark extract, and vitamin C. Brandon credits Extractivity in part for his abundance of energy and good health. Order your 30-day supply now at mystore.com. Be sure to use the promo code on the screen for a generous discount. Extractivity, your all-natural source for energy and good health. Find it at mystore.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Coffee. I get products all the time from entrepreneurs for my new platform, mystore.com. And when I tried My Coffee for the first time, I was blown away. It is the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I spent the last 4 months doing my due diligence, and this family-owned business micromanages every step from the fields to the cup to ensure the best quality coffee you're ever going to have. It starts with the beans that are grown in Honduras. Honduras's volcanic soil and humid climate make the perfect growing conditions for coffee plants, which produce the best beans ever. Then each batch is tested for its aroma, taste, and other aspects to meet the highest standards in the coffee industry. And after that, it goes into production, which is all done right here in the USA. It's like you're getting that small batch specialty coffee, but delivered right to your front door. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code and you'll get your very own My Coffee for 25% off. You guys all know that I've traveled the country for the past year and a half. I've stayed in hundreds of hotels. I've tried every coffee out there. Well, some of the coffees have that terrible aftertaste, some that leave me jittery, or I get an upset stomach. Well, My Coffee is different. It's the richest, smoothest, best coffee I've ever had. My Coffee comes in a variety of flavors. You get them ground or whole bean. Plus, it's certified organic and non-GMO. I guarantee it'll be the best coffee you've ever had. So go to mystore.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you'll get my coffee for 25% off. And I'm going to give you deep discounts on all my store products. That's mystore.com. It's my new platform for USA entrepreneurs. Please order now.
Welcome back to Love. Let's be frank. Sorry, that almost turned into a Live Up to Freedom. Let's be frank. You know what is the problem, Michael? Every time we run that ad, then I'm like, can I just run, grab a cup of coffee and come back? Because now I want coffee.
I started ahead of time and actually brought mine. I've got my coffee and heavy cream, my usual today.
I have my Crown Raspberry Juice, but yeah, I now want coffee. But yes, please go to mayastore.com. Mayastore.com or mypillow.com. Use the promo code AC21, AC21. And that way you support us, support Mike Lindell, support Lindell TV Frank Speech, and you will get a generous discount from Mike Lindell. Whatever you order, it is Christmas time, so as Brandon said, I love his ideas and I keep stealing him. And then I tell him, like, I stole your ideas. Like, that's all right. But he has this brilliant idea. Imagine buying a Christmas gift for someone who's a coffee drinker as a subscription to my coffee. Like, it's not just a one-time gift they got. It's not like you buy one every month. They just keep receiving your Christmas gift. I think that's brilliant. I actually did it for one of my friends. You know who? You know, the
Yes.
mutual friend that never stopped drinking. I actually did that for her. Like, there we go. That's her Christmas gift.
That's an awesome idea because, I mean, you've heard me say several times, like, oh, I didn't realize I'm out of coffee. And then I've got to order more there, but it's going to take a few days to get to my house. So I end up running to the grocery store, getting some terrible stuff they sell, and then just choking that down for the next 3 days.
Yes, it is. Now, also, let me give you an update because I did say if you're interested in buying a Christmas gift for a friend, family members, loved ones, coworker that is absolutely one of a kind, even the artist cannot replicate it, being myself, you can go to my artist store. But the link, lutfstudio.com, the name right there on the screen. But I received such an overwhelmingly amazing feedback and messages of, are you going to do more crosses? Are you going to do more crosses? So there we have it. I think as of right now, we have 20 brand new design of crosses in 2 different forms on our Etsy channel, and 20 more are coming by tomorrow. So plenty of crosses to choose from. And then, of course, there are the rest of the items. We have added some painting, some diamond painting. Let me go ahead and show this diamond painting real quick because it's one of my favorites, actually.
Oh, yeah.
For anyone who may not be familiar with the concept of diamond painting, it's basically a small, like tiny bits of drill that I place in the shape you're looking at one by hand. But this one was one of the recent one I did. And it's called diamond painting because the picture doesn't really do it justice. You see some of the shine, but as you hang it on the wall, depending on which angle you look at it, it has this diamondish shine on it because of the shape of the drills. But I don't know, this one definitely came out very amazingly gorgeous. I like it. But we
agreed.
Go ahead.
And you're right about that too. If you put it in your house, like I have the one that you generously gave me a while back in my bedroom, where the sun hits it in the morning, and you'll see the sheen come off all these. The little drills are like little tiny stones, and they'll refract light like slightly different depending on how it hits it. So it has this beautiful shimmer and sheen to it. They're really amazing to see in person.
Yes, and you are very welcome. I was very happy for you to have that diamond painting. So yes, we have vase, however you call it. I am confused because I don't know what to call it. And plenty of other stuff that are available on the store. So, and I'm going to click on some of these. Actually, let me click on this one because this cross was so, I don't even know how to describe it here. Let me put the full picture.
That's gorgeous.
Now, Michael's familiar with the process of how these crosses are made. Actually, the mold for these crosses are made by Michael, but normally it's very hard to control where the color goes. But this one was like, I somehow I had control over it. So it ended up looking uniquely very different from the rest of the crosses. And someone asked me, so I'm going to do this real quick. I know I'm taking too much time on this art thing, but someone asked me about, because for those of you who have not been to my store or haven't purchased anything, that's one shape of cross that we do. And then this is the other shape of the cross we do. There are two different shapes. And this one is actually all metallic alcohol ink. Again, you don't really see it on the screen, but when you have it on your hand, the alcohol ink as metallic color. It has that like a metal form to it. It's so weird. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so the difference between the two, the one you're looking at, and it may makes no sense to most of you. It might, but here's the description. This is what we call the female cross, with the edges having some sort of kind of look like clover look to it, which by nature is the female's nature, being fragile but yet very nurturing. And then the other one I showed a little earlier, let me reopen that. That one is the male design. And the reason for it is when you look at it, it has more of a sharp edges. Somebody actually said, I thought about it. I can actually use this as a weapon. The edges are sharp enough that if I know what I'm doing, I'm like, exactly. So the sharp edges is for the male crosses, because by nature, male are the protectors. And that's basically how we ended up with two designs. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you don't have to buy the female one or male, but since it's been a question by few, especially at the event, at Lake of Ozark event, I would get a question like, what is the difference between them? Like in our head, when we were doing the design, we wanted to have the representation of there are only two genders. At least for us Christians, there are only two genders.
That's right.
And that's all there is to it. So that's basically the story behind our cross shapes. Okay, so there it is, lutfstudio.com. And I should probably give a shout out to everybody for your wonderful feedbacks and reviews that has kept us on a star seller status on Etsy for last 6 months. I do appreciate you leaving reviews and comments. That's wonderful. And if you want to add anything to the art sales pitch I put together, go ahead. Otherwise, we can move on to next topic.
I just want to say this, like when you say the pictures don't do them justice, I think only somebody that's held one of these in their hand is really going to understand that, because these are cast in resin, even the ones that are more solid color looking on here, it still has a three-dimensional effect when you're looking at it, because this color is floating in clear resin with most of them. Some of them it is all color in there, but even then you see the overlap, you see the shapes go into each other. It's much more impressive to hold this in your hand and kind of turn it and get that whole image. They are really amazing, especially once they're cured and done. And these things are durable; they'll last a lifetime.
They do. They don't break. I mean, as I said, unless you take a hammer to it. And I forgot to show the back. It's been also a question. Yes, all these crosses, when you turn it around, there's a little hook on the back that you can actually put it on the wall using that hook. All you need is a small or big, whatever nail, and then you just hook the cross on. So we thought about that as well. Perfect. lutfstudio.com, lutfstudio.com. Use the promo code Frank, and you get discount, and we will get support to continue doing what we're doing. So I know you have a video for us, Michael, and I'm going to be very honest with you. The first time I watched, I'm like, what did I just watch? Well, let's go play that video, come back, you tell our audience what's happening.
El fentanilo te engancha desde la primera vez. Esclaviza tu mente y tu cuerpo. No destruyas tu vida. El fentanilo mata. No te arriesgues. No vale la pena.
Si necesitas ayuda, llama a la línea de la vida, 800-911-2000.
So I think this video really enforces the earlier point that we are failing our children here. So this is an anti-drug ad. It's part of a larger campaign that's being run in Mexico City right now. The footage, though, is drug users on Skid Row in Philadelphia. This, I mean, I guess when I saw this at first, where it really hit me is that Mexico is using American drug addicts, kids, teenagers that live in these alleys of Philadelphia as a way to scare their kids off of these drugs. And there's no I see almost the opposite effort here. I see more and more evidence that we're just failing them and putting the problem off, or won't address it correctly. We've had a huge spike in drug use since COVID. A lot of this is with teenagers that feel alone and isolated, or were masked up. They missed part of their their experience growing up. This was taken from them. But we're not addressing it, and it's gotten so bad now that Mexico is using that to scare their own children and teenagers away from using drugs.
Yeah, and in return, we're leaving our borders even wider open so the cartel can import more drugs into our streets and get more of our
Yeah,
kids addicted, right? The irony of this video was the first thing that got me. The irony
yeah,
of it, that Mexico using our level of addiction, and it's heart wrenching when you watch that video. It's really heart wrenching. And I don't believe
yeah.
for a second that we don't have what it takes to help and improve their lives. And I know so quick story back when I went to school AI in Los Angeles. The second semester topic was a documentary. Now this was going to school for digital video production, and no, I didn't graduate, but
You could have fooled me.
thank you. Um, the second semester was documentary topic, and our group, like the group in the class that was me, and they break you into groups so you can experience every position of production. We decided to cover the homeless, the level of a skyrocketing number of homeless people in Los Angeles, California, and we started filming and all that. During that, I came to realize how many of these homeless people who are also addicted. Unfortunately, I want to say, at least within our documentary, I'm saying, Michael, 70% of the homeless people we interviewed and talked to were addicted one way or another. And
Mhm.
it wasn't like they didn't become homeless people because they were addicted. They became addicted because they were homeless. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's how a lot of them end up that way. It's always they've let themselves fall so far that maybe they drank a little too much before, but then they turn to drugs and other things. It's all to stop the pain. It's always to mask something else. Um, or it's a crutch. I mean, some of them do get addicted to for other reasons. I mentioned I have a friend that I grew up with that got hooked on painkillers after being in a motorcycle accident, and then he struggled to get off of them. There's a lot of people that have that too, but it's also that they have a feeling like once they've fallen so far that they're just cast out of society, that they're almost embarrassed to even try to come back in and try to get back on their feet. There's no effort to reach out. The
Yeah.
situation in Philly. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The situation in Philadelphia is really, really sad. I've been watching these videos from another guy that's a pastor at a church there that like just goes around and looks for addicts that are crashed out unconscious in the back doorways and alleyways, and he brings them soda because they need both like hydration and to get sugar back in their system. Then tries to bring them in for either treatment or preach to them, just try to give them some kind of hope and help them to get themselves back on their feet. Because when you're in this situation, at the end of the day, they have to be the ones to make a decision to get back on their feet and improve their life. An outside force can't do that.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Again, it's no secret from public's eyes that I come from a family of addicts. I mean, my trade was opium from my own father. And, my uncle, his oldest sister pretty much died of ODing with heroin, and he was found days later. So I've seen it firsthand of what it does to a person. Now, please don't get me wrong. I am not excusing my father's behavior based on his addiction. Never. But I'm just trying to say that I understand the topic very well from someone who watched it most of my childhood, either when they're high, when they're going through withdrawal, overdoing it, underdoing it, whatever the case. But the sadness, I guess, is this country has the resources to help a lot of these homeless people. Yeah, it starts again with families. I'm not promoting addiction. Please, again, don't twist that. I don't know. Don't you love how many disclaimers I just have to insert every time I talk? It's like, I am not
It's
promoting this.
it's so sad though, because like our society really is that way now, that if you don't put the disclaimer on it, we're going to hear about it later. But maybe this is a good time too to remind everybody too about the like Lindell Recovery Network, that's a free resource available on Frank's
I
speech. There's a link there.
Exactly. I was actually going right there that we have
Oh,
Lindo Recovery Network on an individual by himself. Imagine how many of these networks we could have if the government chose to limit or end addiction in this country. But yes, you're correct. Linda Recovery Network uh, is absolutely free. Absolutely free. All you need to do is contact them. They will do consultation. They will hold your hand. They will guide you through it. Very, very kind-hearted people, professionals who know how to do this. Also, there is the sponsor for. They are sponsor at Brown House Live program when they do the ND. I think it's NDA and IV for addiction.
Yeah, I think it's NAD.
NAD. Yes.
Yeah, NAD. Yeah.
Yes. I'm horrible with abbreviation except when it's LUTF. I mean,
Yeah,
LUTF
I couldn't remember
can't
it either,
work
though.
in. But the point is there are so many resources, just, Americans doing it. But I can't help but to think, of course, the government wants our younger generation, especially, to be, they're too busy. I never forget when Rafsanjani, the president of Islamic Republic of Iran, back in the time, one day said he's from Rafsanjan. It's one of the areas that experts, the best pistachio you can find. Also, they here and there hint at some drugs from Rafsanjan, and he actually said, in a very dark, giggle way, he thought it was a sense of humor, keep the youngsters high. You'll never face any resistance.
Well, he's got that right. I mean, that's basically the opium wars were with China too. You enslave everybody to the drug, and then they become, your tool. They're reliant on you. They'll do anything to get it.
Exactly. So that goes back to, do we have a major addiction problem in our country? Absolutely. I actually saw a comment a few days ago about when Brandon was talking about part of me is I can't remember the name of the company that is the sponsor, but the NAD plus IV addiction organization. When Brandon was talking about that, someone commented, a discussion came up of drugs versus alcoholism. It was a funny discussion, to be honest, in a way, because it was like, you don't see that many people dying from alcohol. And somebody replied, well, you do see a lot of people dying doing stupid things when they're drunk. Well, that's a valid point. We do see that. There's a lot of, drunk drivers who do hit and run or kill people. So my point is, addiction is an addiction. Any type of addiction that puts you outside the control of your body, it's not necessarily something you want to try. But then we also know that's not, a lot of people don't become addicts by choice. So just an idea, aside promoting the resources that are reliable and available, like Linda Recovery Network, like the clinic that is sponsoring Brandon's show. Another way of it is, I've done this. So as you know, I'd never offer something or suggest something I haven't done. Sometimes if you would go to local shelters, you come across a lot of addicts. They are being fed at the shelter. They're giving a warm blanket at the shelter, but they never have an ear that will listen to them at a shelter. So volunteer your ear and your time. Sit there without judging them. Listen to their stories. It does happen at least 1 out of 10. You hear a click that can give you that opening to grab their hand and take them to a rehab. I've done it. It happens. Yep. Volunteer your heart, your time, and your ear, and go to shelters, especially this season. It's really hard for a lot of them. Go to shelters and spend 15, 20 minutes with one of them, anyone. Listen to them. When you hear the opening, offer them help. Don't offer them help. Don't look down at them. Don't judge them. Just offer them help. Even if one person goes with you to rehab or agrees for you to dial Linda Recovery Network and hand them the phone, there's one person that you might possibly have played a role in helping them back to a right path. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, and sometimes all it really does take is just an ear to listen, that they need to be reassured again that there's somebody out there that cares about them. They just need that little push over the line. I probably mentioned before, like a lot of my career was in staffing before this, and I did work at like day labor halls and that type of thing. And there were several people that came in that worked for us for a while that had addiction problems, and eventually they'd kind of get to a point where they would ask us to bring them to the center close to us was called the Lighthouse. We'd bring them there, and a lot of them would then be able to turn their lives around. We had a gentleman that had been a special education teacher in California, went through a really bad divorce, and crawled into a whiskey bottle, never came out. Worked for us for a while, and like when we took him down to the Lighthouse, he looked like he was starving to death. I mean, just in sickly condition. A few months later, he came back up, and we didn't even recognize him. He had hair again. He looked healthy. He looked, didn't look like he was starving. And the big thing for him was this gave an opportunity both to get off the alcohol and to get back into something where he made a positive difference. So he was then working for Orange County schools and helping them redevelop a program for kids with Down syndrome. That was what he specialized in.
Yes, yes, we can make a difference. As you said, they are so, what is the word? Outed by the society? Is that the proper term? Outed. They are so outed. Like, this is, I'm just going to say it. Have my back here, Michael. Our society has accepted HIV and AIDS and homosexuality and bisexuality and yada yada sexuality, over here sexuality, up there sexuality, balance backwards sexuality, all of it.
Yeah.
But we refuse to accept that there are addicts, and majority of them are not bad people. Majority of them either made one wrong decision and weren't able to get back. Some of them grew up in a mess of a drug. I know a kid, well, now grown, I know a kid, back then kid, who became an addict at age 9 because his parents shooted up his arm. Years and years until he was 27, no one helped him. He was looked at as some disgusting creature that needs to be outed. I take it back to, we have accepted so much things that are against our values, so much things that are poisonous. But we refuse to accept that there are drug addicts out there and they need our help. The sooner we help those out there right now, the sooner we can minimize the number of addicts in the future. As I said, not all of them. I'm not going to say you're going to be successful in all cases. No, that's a myth. But when you when the numbers are smaller, when it's filtered down, as somebody always told me in LA, the more addicts we have, the more dealers we have, because they always turn into dealers to feed their own habit. Just put all of that together. Let's help them.
Yeah. Well, as Christians, we're supposed to believe in a path to redemption, a way to help people get back to who they were and become productive members of society again. But sometimes it's going to be up to us to help facilitate that. Things don't just magically happen on their own. As we've said before, God expects us to take actions too, to make things happen. It's not a genie lamp. So sometimes it is going to take us stepping in to talk to these people and bring them to where they need to be, get them the help they need, or even just show them that somebody cares.
Yes, I'm sorry. It's like Michael doesn't mind it when I do that, but when the topic is a little too sensitive, I have to make like jokes about it to get through it. So,
you have to sometimes. If you don't laugh, you're not living life. That's
very true. Okay, we're at the end of our time. We got about a minute to go. So I think my takeaway from today, stay safe, stay vigilant, keep on getting educated, but then also watch out for our kids. They are coming at our kids full force. Watch out. Let the mama bears and mama bears and papa bears. Is that the other term? Papa bears.
We'll take it. Papa bears, mama bears.
You know what I mean. Mama bears and papa bears. Let them out. Don't shy away. Clean house when it comes to your own local schools, your own districts. We cannot lose our kids to the devil. It's literally Satan club. And also as we approach to get close, I know everybody's waiting for Thanksgiving to be over, but I feel the Christmas season. So as we approach and get close to Christmas season, remember it is the time of giving, forgiving, loving, cherishing. Do those things. Reach out to a stranger, help them, be there for them, don't judge them. Let them know this world has not given up on them, whomever they might be. I'm not going to even prioritize. There are so many orphanages in need of visitors with a little teddy bear. Let's do that kind of stuff because it makes a difference. That's what makes America, America. You know, the American dream, part of American dream is to be in a position to help others, not financially, but through your heart. And then I will let you have the last 30 seconds, Michael.
Yeah, every day that we're presented with opportunities to make a positive impact in other people's life, but it's up to us to do them. Just writing a check to an organization isn't really enough. Like, yes, it helps, and these places need funding. At the end of the day, it's up to us to become the change that we want to see. Um, yeah, thanks again for being with us. We'll be back again next week, and don't forget to live up to freedom.
Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow, and may God bless you and God bless America. Goodbye.